What up? It's Jens from Hip Hop Twitter Podcast with a quick message to let y'all know that we now have merch. You like t-shirts? Well, we got them. We also have mugs, we have stickers, and magnets. So if you want to have any of those items, all you need to do is go to tpublic.com and search Vegas World INC, and you'll find everything that you need. Vegas and I would like to say thank you for your support. Peace.
Apparently, they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a f*** because Twitter's not a real place.
Twitter? Oh no, don't be trying to Twitter me, boy.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Hip Hop Twitter. I am your host, Vegas. And with me, as always, you know him. You heard him on the intro talking about merch. It's the homie, Jens. What's good, man?
What's happening, Vegas? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So let's do like other podcasts, right? You know how some other podcasts, they get revved up. They kind of warm up with the record button hit and they, talk about something that you really don't care about because you really only came there for whatever the hell it is they usually talk about. But this is relatable. I came to Twitter as a means to promote my blog at the time and my podcast in some ways. A lot of people who found me on Twitter at that time were either people who used to listen to me on the radio or people who follow my blog or, people who know you, family, friends, stuff like that. But there was a big, as far as engagement early on for me, there were so many people who I did not know for any of those reasons I just mentioned. We kind of wound up following each other because we love to tweet when sports is on. And I was heavy at one point with that only on Twitter. Still am sometimes. But there's just a group of people that like to tweet while we're watching sports. Y'all know who y'all are. Shout out to y'all. Jens, for you, what was the decision to make you even join Twitter? And what was that early on experience like for you?
The whole purpose of me joining Twitter was I noticed how a lot of hip hop artists, just music in general that I like, were heavy on Twitter, and they promoted new albums, they promoted concerts at the time, before this pandemic. But that was pretty much my and sports kind of the same way that you said. But mine was strictly music, whether it be hip hop, which that's really almost the sole purpose of me starting out. Like I was saying, hip hop music, period. Just everybody finding new artists that I had never heard of, and seeing them promoting their stuff, leaving snippets of music, and I'm like, oh, some of these cats was real dope, and ever since that, I followed those artists, became fans of their music as time went on. As far as the sports section, yeah, I'm cool with the sports. I'm not as talkative sports wise because I'm mostly watching, but I do enjoy, like you, posting about whatever game or whatever boxing is on, MMA. I do enjoy looking at that or the highlights they post. So yeah, sports and hip hop pretty much is my whole reason for joining Twitter.
Yeah, it's interesting because for those listening, hip hop Twitter sort of became a thing in recent years when you think about it, Jens. We all talked it, right? We all talked about hip hop, but I think the emergence of more people doing podcasts, stuff like List and debates and one gotta go, them you go, that's who go. But you know what I'm saying? It kind of evolved into this thing. And I know for me personally, we know this Hip Hop Twitter diaries, but you're gonna get these diaries. But for me personally, it made me lose a little bit of why I enjoyed Twitter early on, which you think would be the opposite. But most people don't know, as big of a hip hop fan I am, I might be a bigger sports fan. I'm just saying, I literally watch everything. Everything. Like, I keep up on high school basketball. Not like to the point of the craziness where you're gonna catch me in the gym watching. I don't have time for that. But I'm always curious about who's next, right? Like who's the number one high school kid? You know, is he nice or can he just dunk crazy at this age? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's always interesting to learn how those of us that have been on Twitter for a while, knowing it was a different space at one point in time, it's always interesting to learn how they originally came to Twitter and the reasons why. And no, we did not come there to make friends. So, all right. So, with that being said, Yentz, what the fuck is happening on hip hop Twitter this week?
Although Kool G Rap is highly skilled, especially in his prime, I tapped out at 456 being the last album that I checked for.
Oh, man.
G Rap.
Disrespect.
G Rap has a cult following that's weird. And it's filled with keep it real hip hop heads.
Well, I do appreciate that we're getting to talk about Kool G Rap, because every time we talk about Kool G Rap, every time we don't talk about Kool G Rap, which seems to be quite often when you talk about these top 10 lists, stuff like that. But we tend to talk about certain rappers who are the DNA of the rappers we know and love, specifically from the 90s, right? Kool G Rap is in the DNA of, just as much as Rakim, of a number of rappers, from the Lox to Nas to even Hove in a lot of ways. Everybody. Kool G Rap was doing a lot of things before a lot of rappers were doing it. But with that being said, now Yentz, don't kill me, but that first tweet,
I can relate.
I'm not saying that Kool G Rap hasn't had a good album since 456, but for me personally, I sort of checked out after that album. And it wasn't anything that G Rap did. It was just where the game was going. Unfortunately, in hip hop, and I was a part of that too, it was just more exciting, younger acts happening, right? You talking about 456 is what, 95?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
95,
95.
96.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Look at what happened in 96, man. The Fugees, second Nas album. Redman probably has arguably his best album. Tupac running the whole year with 2 albums, right? De La Soul is back. Tribe is back. I said the Fugees already. The Score, right?
Yep.
I mean, the Wu is back soon, right? They doing solo projects and stuff. Like, it was Kool G Rap's time was, late 80s into the early 90s, and a whole nother era was brought in that was just, I won't say more exciting, but in a lot of ways they were, for at least for our age. What do you think about that first part of the tweet? What do you say to those who checked out after 456?
Well, I mean, for one, I don't have a problem with it. That's the whole thing about this tweet, is this tweet went crazy because people felt the person that made the tweet was being very disrespectful of G Rap's legacy by saying that. And I think the person that made the tweet, the thing that really struck a nerve was calling G Rap, diehard G Rap fans a cult.
or, you know, filled with keep it real hip hop heads. You know,
You
Yeah.
know,
Hold up. We're gonna get to that part.
okay,
Because I ain't really addressed that part.
okay.
But as far as discography, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like 4, 5, 6 was a peak, and then everything after that was worthy of being ignored?
No, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's worthy of being ignored. Of course, G Rap had a prime, and you already pretty much said it, but G Rap has continually released, whether it's guest verses or like after after the 456 album, there's about another 10 or 12 releases. Don't quote me,
Wait,
but
are
I'm
you
pretty sure.
serious?
Yeah. There's about 10 or 12 more releases that he had after that. And the most recent was Son of G Rap with 38 Special. So it
Trash.
was so like just to me, yeah, okay, you can say you can talk about his prime, but I still believe that after that he's let out some quality work, whether it be a solo effort, whether it's guest appearances on some of your favorite, new artists, if it's Griselda, anybody like that, 38 Special, like I just mentioned. I think G Rap is one of the few cats from that early era that remained relevant in my opinion. He continued to work, and I think he still might have something coming soon. I kind of heard a
He
little
does.
something. Yeah, so
Him and Kane.
word. See, so I think, and that'd be dope for Kane. I mean, I think that'd be cool to hear Kane again. Especially if it's not anything old rehashed. Hopefully, it's brand new material. I think that'll be dope for both of them.
So I've gone ahead because this is what I do. And basically went and let me know if I'm missing anything, but I basically went through his discography on Apple Music to see what are the albums after 1995.
Okay.
And I think you were spot on. I'm looking at this like, what the fuck albums are these? But at the same time, ironically, as a person who's used to read the Source and the double XLs all the time, I do remember the album covers. Like I remember them being promoted, but I was, too busy elsewhere. So I'll go through them real quick.
Okay.
1996, rated XXX. I remember the cover.
Right. That
but
red
I
cover
don't-
with the
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. And this is when he got back together with DJ Polo.
Yeah, that's Talk Like Sex and all that's on there.
Right. Which I think was like a compilation more than anything.
Right, yeah. It was some like older material and stuff, yeah.
Right. All
Rikers
right.
Island is on there, yeah.
Okay. So straight up albums. Root to Evil, 1998. The Giacana Story. I do remember that cover. What is this? Click of Respect. So I guess this was him having a crew.
Yeah, I think it's something family click. So yeah, I think it's like, cats that he probably had under his wing and kind of rocked with him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's introducing Five Family Click.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
That was 2003. The Giacana Story was 2002. 2006, Dead or Alive. Never heard of that one. Half a Clip in 2007. Offer You Can't Refuse in 2011. Riches, Royalty, and I can't see the Riches, Royalty, and Respect in 2011. Once Upon a Crime. This is actually Kool G Rap with what's his name, Necro and the Godfather.
Yeah, Necro damn near sounds like G Rap a little bit. The first time I heard Necro, I kind of like, damn, this cat sounds like G Rap. But yeah.
And 2017, Return of the Don. Now, this is all that's on Apple Music, but I will say this. I think not too long ago, I asked people on Twitter or social media in general, out of the Kool G Rap albums after 456, ironically, which one is worth listening to? And Roots of Evil came up. And the one you mentioned, Son of G Rap, came up. Son of G Rap I heard, but when I went to listen to it, honestly, I just wanted to hear G Rap. So
right. I like that Giancana, the Giancana story. I like that one too.
Okay.
So I would say, yeah, the Roots of Evil, the Giancana one, for sure. Then after that, it's a little spotty. I mean, still, like I said before, respectable, efforts on G Rap's part. But I mean, that's a lot of work. And I mean, you already said before too, during that time, I mean, hip hop exploded. So you had a lot of other directions to go.
Yeah, it's pretty, for me personally, it was just, the timing for me. And remember, people got to remember where hip hop was at this point in time. So when the era that we're talking about, there was a lot going on in hip hop. Hip hop was much bigger than it had ever been. So it was a lot more that was new, that was exciting to look forward to than those people who we did love because we grew up with them as well.
Right.
Looking back. Now, this thing about their fans,
right.
I tend to agree.
Now,
I don't think it's all the fans, right? I'm a G Rap fan. You're a G Rap fan.
Without question.
There's plenty of G Rap fans, but we talking about hip hop Twitter.
right.
I think there's a little bit of the Big L-ness in that fan base in particular, right?
Big L-ness.
There's a little bit
of Big L-ness
in it, right? Like, Yentz loves Big L. I love Big L.
Right.
But we don't get carried away with the legend of Big L. Now, you can get carried away with the legend of G Rap. Is G Rap, right?
No doubt.
The track record, right? He could stop after 4, 5, 6. He's good.
No doubt.
Right? But I think because he's always forgotten when people talk about, legends in the game. They'll say KRS-One, they'll say Rakim, they'll say Big Daddy Kane, but you never hear Kool G Rap, and he's an essential piece to that group of individuals.
Without question.
As far as influence goes,
top 5 to me, Kool G Rap is top 5, straight up.
Top 5 all time.
Yes, sir.
I can't even debate it, to be honest, because his influence is Griselda, right?
Yeah, his influence is all
Rain
over.
Ghosts, right?
Yep. Yep. Look, I said this I made a tweet saying that MCs aspire to be Rakim, but they emulate G Rap.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can't get any more clear than that. That's his legacy. That's his legacy. Now, whether you listen to every single drop and loved them, or whether you dropped out at 4, 5, 6, to me, that's not even questionable. His legacy as far as what he means and continue, and what he meant and what he continues to mean in hip hop circles to just MCs, period. I don't think there's no MC would say that G Rap was not a direct influence on them.
Well, do you think this person has a point in regards to the fans, or are they just generalizing?
No, I think they have a point because they started tearing his ass up.
Pause.
They started going off, just like he pretty much predicted You know what I mean? By saying that. And the shame of it is that the dude eventually deleted the whole thing, and then kind of came back and issued somewhat of an apology, which I don't think he should have done, because in my opinion, there was nothing said that was disrespectful. You know, I mean, look, you don't have to. Man, how many albums does KRS-One have, right? So if you dropped off after, I don't know, Sex and Violence, are you diminishing what KRS-One means to hip hop by saying that? Are you not a fan of KRS-One by saying that? I don't believe so. I think it's just a normal thing. And another thing in regard to the fans, we see people calling people fans
left and right.
Right? Left and right, all over the timeline, all over Twitter, all over social media, right? So this person said what he said. It's kind of cultish in his opinion. To be offended by that, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I would be offended by that. I just don't. I think the people who are like that maybe he's talking about, are people who will defend that artist no matter what the situation is, right? So if you dropped out at 4, 5, 6 and you said it yourself, then that person is gonna be all over you trying to convince you, to go into them next 12 releases. Oh man, but what about such and such, this, that, and the other? And if you say no, I mean, I don't think that takes away. I don't take nothing off of G Rap. It don't make you any less of a fan by saying it. It's just an honest opinion on an artist, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I'm just, for those who are listening and who are contemplating hearing what I said and saying, yo, you ain't like Son Under the fucking Projects.
No.
I've never heard that album from G Rap. I don't care how good it is to you. There's a reason why I let 10 albums go by. Okay. It's a reason. Now, there's also a reason why I posed that question, because I'm a G Rap fan. I felt like I could have missed something that was really good. And one of the things here's a little secret for y'all.
Let you know where you stand with Vegas.
Yints don't count, because Yints just gets joy in sending me bullshit albums all the time. He just loves it. But when I ask questions like that, I look at who's responding and what they're saying. For example, shout out to the homie Nick, right? Balloon Mind State on or Balloon or whatever his name is on Twitter. This man listens to a lot of music and not just hip hop. If I say to him, which I believe he was one of the people who responded, yo, I really haven't been into a G Rap album since 4, 5, 6. Which one of these albums do I definitely need to check out? Because I did the same thing with MC Ren, right? And he was quite honest. But the thing is when I went and pressed play, to your point, Yints, I was mad I missed Roots of Evil, because I was like, yo, I kind of mess with this joint. This joint is all right.
Yeah, it's dope. For real, yeah.
I'm definitely going to listen to Giacana's story, because I've heard that being said before. But it was just the point in which I was at in my life, musically, and whatever I was doing around that time, where I was more focused on the artists who I was into once that that 95, 96 era hit, that 97, even 98, that whole era right there from probably 95 to 2000, I was heavy into all the new stuff. Not because it was new, it's just that it was so much and it was so exciting and competitive, and just like a second golden era. So I agree, man. I don't feel like this guy should have, or person, whoever it is, should have felt the need to delete their tweet just based off of what other people were saying, because they didn't check. Maybe you could have went and listened to some of these joints and said, all right, y'all right, These albums are all right back then. I slept on them. But that's hip hop
Twitter,
right? Only in hip hop Twitter would you delete a tweet and then release a fucking statement. Why? This ain't the NFL. Who the cares? All right. So how do you feel about Kool G Rap? Did you check out after 4, 5, 6? Leave your comments in the comment section wherever you listen to this podcast or watch on YouTube. On behalf of the homie Yentz, I am your host Vegas. Tweet responsibly. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.